filming now, so.
Oh, good. All right. Well, that's how this is gonna go. Hi guys, and welcome to Betwixt the Books Recommends. I believe the last one we did was over a year ago now. It was like February 2016. We totally do this professionally. We are professionals of the most non-professional caliber. That's us. Yep. That's one way to describe us. I came up with the theme for today because a couple of the most popular books coming out of our store at the moment are 1984 by George Orwell and Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which are two pretty big dystopia political commentary texts. And I thought for sure that by this time I could stop giving out teen dystopian recommendations, but that is not the case. Somehow people have not read them all, and there are more coming out still. It has not died, as I thought that it would. We're still going, still chugging along. Mm-hmm. So, do you know there are still people in this world that haven't read Divergent? I'm confused. Speaking of Divergent, haha, segues. One of the first ones that I am going to recommend is Divergent. A lot of you probably have read this, but if you haven't, don't watch those movies. Don't watch them. I'm not going to finish them. They're bad. They're really bad. The books are good. So ignore the movies and read the books. I have to say that I am of the unpopular opinion that I think that the way that she finished the series was really awesome. And if you have read it and you disagree, now's when you start screaming. I can hear you from here. But I thought that the series did a really good job of creating a character and a war dystopia setting with actual consequences, much like The Hunger Games, for example. So I really liked that because I feel like some dystopians are like, oh, the world is so dreary and awful, but love and romance win the day and no one dies. And I'm not about that. If you're going to write a dystopia, write a dystopia. That's common sense, really. But anyways, Divergent is good. Mm-hmm. Not great, but good. I also read all of those in pretty quick succession, like a week, 2 weeks. I read all three of them right when the third book came out, and I agree that the ending was called for and necessary and not terrible in any way, and I'm quite proud of her for being able to do that, because I'm sure as a writer in general, aside from like having all of these readers that really love the character, it's difficult to... Spoilers. Yeah. Dab. It's difficult to do that, what she did in that book. Yes. Mini dab, so I don't hit you in the head. Dab. You could dab the other way. Oh, that's right. There's room this way. Oh my god, okay. My first one is also apt because the film is going to be coming out this summer. It is The Circle, whose author I cannot remember. Dave Eggers. Dave Eggers? Yes. Sure, Dave Eggers. I was talking to somebody about it today. Okay, good. Yeah, The Circle by Dave Eggers, and I read this last year, and I believe I did do a full review of it, which I will link up above, but because this is a recommends, it's just our elevator pitches. It's why we like this one and think you should read it. I really liked that this dystopia was maybe tomorrow in our world. Like, it is one of those dystopias that isn't... It's not even 20 years in the future. It could literally be tomorrow. All of the technology that's there and the way that they describe the world is very much what's happening around us, which I think is interesting, as dystopias are always political commentary on what's happening right now, but also because it is even more relevant. Like, you can read 1984 and see all of the issues that are apparent still today, but it's also still very different from what we live, whereas this is saying, this is like our life, and here are all of these issues that you might not notice, type thing. So yeah, if you haven't read The Circle, I recommend reading it before the movie comes out, and then go and see the movie, because Tom Hanks is in it, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. And Emma Watson. And Emma Watson. Yeah. It's just, I'm sure it's going to be good. Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. What a combo. I'm thinking about that thing where, like, you take a sentence and put in bed at the end of it, and it made me uncomfortable. Yeah. Oh. No. So my second pick, I'm moving into fantasy dystopians now, because I I'm actually not a fan of the dystopian genre, honestly. I was done with this, like, a while ago. But there are a couple gems that have stood out, hence this list. And one of them is The Winter's Curse by Marie Rakowski. I did do a full review of this when I finished it, and I'll link that up below. But basically what I love about this one is that, yes, if you read the back of it, it's like a girl from an upper class society falls in love with a boy of like the slave class society, and their star-crossed love, blah, blah, blah. And that's why I almost didn't pick it up for a really long time. But people kept saying, oh, but you're really gonna like it. And so I eventually caved to peer pressure and I picked it up. And what I love about it is that, yes, it's a love story, but it's very political. And it is a trilogy, but like with the first book especially, I love that they were like, we're in love, but there's like something bigger politically going on, and we have to participate in this the way that we can best contribute. And so their love is important, but the political world that they're inhabiting like supersedes that, which is awesome, because that's the way that it should be, not like, our love can bend political systems to its will, which is often the case with YA dystopia, and that is icky. So, no. Yeah, I think that series is better than the back makes it seem. Mm-hmm. So if you've been on the fence about it, I do recommend it, and you can watch my full review if you're interested.
My second choice, I don't believe I ever talked about on the channel despite reading last year, which is a bit surprising. It was during that point where we weren't doing wrap-ups anymore because I was super depressed and sad and busy and couldn't like do things like that. I read Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, which is the first book in the Southern Reach trilogy, I believe. I do have the second and third book at home, but have not read them yet. But I read the first one in like one sitting. It's a really tiny book if you ever pick it up. It also has a really interesting cover that's like neon yellow, like really flashy. This is a book where there's a team of all-female scientists that are going into what's called the Southern Reach, which is this point in some point of rural America. This point of some point is this place in rural America in the South that apparently is slowly getting bigger and spreading, and inside of there is like madness and death. And this team of scientists is going in there to try and do research and try and figure out what's going on. And they think that they're like the 7th or 8th team to go in there. And they are doing research. They're all given information about what happened to the team before them. And so they have like a little bit of information, but they don't know a whole lot. So it's this discussion of like, as you're going through with these scientists, how much did the government tell them? How much did they take out? What's real? What part of the insanity is like just people figuring out what's actually going on in the real world versus what's actually like some weird supernatural force or some biological chemical force you don't know. It was very interesting, very fast paced. It like hooked me and got me into the next one, so I'm gonna keep reading it. And I think you should too.
My final pick for this list is The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And if you finished Red Queen and Divergent, you're going, I don't know if I like you anymore. But anyways, just carry on. The Red Queen is this awesome fantasy dystopia where your place in society is determined by the color of your blood. There are reds who have normal red blood, and they have no like special aspects to them, and they're the lower class. And then the silvers have silver blood, and they also all have special powers. Like some can control fire, some can read minds, and that's like linked to their blood. And the main character is kind of class bending because she has red blood, but she has special powers. And the silver class is like freaking out about this because they can't have the reds touching their special like class in society. And that was one of the few YA books that I've read, like I'd even say in the past couple of years, where, I was like, I see where this plot is going. I see where this plot is going. And then I got to the end and I went, no! So it was like, I was actually surprised by the twist in the ending of Red Queen. when I read back over it, I was like, oh, maybe I could have seen this coming, but since I expected it to go somewhere else, and she particularly went, haha, no. And so I really liked that. And there's one other employee of our Barnes & Noble who literally every shift she would come in and she'd be like, so did you finish the series yet? Because I haven't finished the last couple of books. Like, have you finished it yet? Have you finished it yet? It's been 12 hours. No, I haven't finished it. So I definitely recommend that one. And again, I like that it has the real consequence and the real impact of fighting, like guerrilla warfare and fighting against a very powerful state, and how to just do that, and the fact that it's hard and that there are costs. Because again, YA is like, war is full of flowers and everybody wins and gets a trophy. And you're like, no.
Except the bad guy. He dies.
Yeah.
But probably off screen.
Yeah, and just him.
Just him.
I'm sorry, if you are fighting a war, there are people dying.
Innocence all the time.
Yeah. So that's my feeling. YA, get it together. I don't know. But yeah, Red Queen, very good.
My last recommendation is a graphic novel. We all know that I like Rick Remender's books. If you do not know that I like Rick Remender's books, I like Rick Remender's books, and all of his comic lines are dystopian in some way or another. I have been reading Descender, which I did do a review of at some point because I remember filming the close-up shots of the art. So if you would like to go see what some of that art looks like, because it's an interesting watercolor kind of like minimalistic art style with pops of color for like points of interest. Check that out, please do. The thing that I really like about this sci-fi dystopia, because most dystopias end up being either sci-fi fantasy, it has to push it a little bit, with the exception of The Circle, which is just fucking right now. It's just right now. But Descender is in a world where there was a war between people and robots. And it happened because the robots sort of gained sentience through some leaps in AI technology. And there were like these huge like annihilator machines that were created, and they don't know where they came from, and this huge war broke out, and machines ended up getting scattered all over the place, and the technology got messed up. But your main character is a robot that was designed to be a child's companion to keep them safe. So it looks like a little boy and acts like a little boy, and it like you feel the compassion that you would to a small child in the same way, but you also are learning how the AI in that robot is what led to all of the terrible shit that happened, because they wanted the robot to learn from the kid and to act like a kid, so it needed to have quite strong emotions in a lot of ways, because children have less filters and often have very dramatic emotional responses to things. In any case, really great, cute little robot story, but also like really terrifying and bloody and gory and just good. It's just really good. And if you like science fiction or really good art, at least look at the video so that you can see what the art looks like, because that's maybe one of the standout features of it.
So those are our dystopian recommends. We will have a list summarizing them also in the description. If you're like, I don't remember the first 5, that's fine. I don't either, and I said them. That's not true. That's because there's a list right here. But yes, we know that we have been absent for a while. We're aware. As I said, I think in my last video, some life updates from me. Michaela has also been moving to a different place. We're both kind of like work stressed, like massive right now. You know, so it's, adulting is hard, and we're working on it. And I know that basically we've just been saying that for like a year, but I think that's basically going to be the rest of our lives. So just know that we are committed and we are talking about this, and we love doing this together, and we love talking to you. We're just ever so slowly working on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, just scheduling is hard because, like, once we, like, hit a schedule, then I moved out, and then we started, like, kind of rescheduling, and I got promoted, and then we started kind of rescheduling, and Michaela had to move, so, like, we slowly get there, and then we take, like, 72 paces back. So...
72? It was, like, 3 miles. That's more than 72 paces. Ugh.
Yeah. But we're working on it.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm going back to school. That's going to be our next, like, thing, because I'm going to have no life whatsoever. I don't have a life now, but, yeah.
What is time?
Time is a construct of man.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was distance traveled around the sun.
It's that, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyways, we're going to stop now. And do pay attention to social media. We are trying to get back on track with our, book clubs. Those are supposed to be the last Wednesday of every month. We had to delay our latest one a couple of months, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, 2 months
because Taylor is mean. He picks 800-page behemoths that I don't want to read at all because it's like slogging through quagmire wearing a concrete suit. But we will be getting back to that. We're starting a round of nonfiction later this month with Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. That's Michaela's pick. I forget the author.
Smoke is in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doherty.
Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doherty. There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just like follow us on Twitter. Follow us, you know, on Instagram. Whatever works for you. All those links are down in the description. And while we figure out scheduling, that's going to be the best way to keep track of when those live streams are happening. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for sticking with us, and we will see you soon. Mm-hmm. Bye!